Hey, what's going on, everybody? Too Long Didn't Read Filmmaker here. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Now, for this holiday season, if you happen to be struggling to figure out what kind of gifts can you give your loved ones that might be YouTubers, filmmakers, or maybe they're aspiring to be either one, well, in this video, I'm going to walk through a bunch of different gift ideas. I'm going to explain each one and why they are important for pretty much anyone in this field. So hopefully by the end of the video, you'll have an idea of which gift is going to be best for your loved one. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, let's start with stocking stuffers that won't break the bank. First up, we have something called bongo ties. It costs around $7. It's nice and cheap. Now, these bongo ties are really useful on set because you never really think you need them until you actually do. They're great for tying down power cables that can get cluttered on set. So get your filmmaking loved one a set of these so that they never trip over power cables while they're on set. Next up, we have label makers. Now, a filmmaker has a ton of different types of equipment, and especially little stuff. It can get really hectic real quick if they don't find a place to put it all. But once they do, they'll need a way to identify it. So simply give them a label maker so that they can keep everything nice and organized and in order. Now, depending on which one you buy, I have selected anything from $10 to $30, so it's up to you. Next up, we have a lens cleaning kit. If your filmmaking kid or significant other doesn't have one of these handy, they're gonna need one. Lenses can get dirty even just sitting around not being used. So get them a lens cleaning kit so that they're always getting the best optical quality while they're out filming. Next up, we have something called gaff tape or gaffer's tape. Now, to the common person, this might just look like duct tape, but it's not. This is very different in that it does not reflect, it has great strength, and it doesn't leave a residue when you pull it off. Similar to how duct tape fixes everything, gaff tape or gaffer's tape can be used in the same way to hold things together in a moment's notice on set. This is pretty much one of the most essential things that a filmmaker should have in their kit. Last up for the stocking stuffers is something called a spring clamp. Now, they're similar to duct tape and bongo ties in that they can be used in a pinch, but sometimes you need more strength than those two can handle. So these clamps are extremely handy when they need to basically hold up really large boards or really large flat objects to light stands. You're going to want to use spring clamps in this case, so if they don't already have some in their kit, maybe you should get them some. Next up, let's get to some side gifts that pull more weight for your filmmaking loved one. So first up, we have something called a multi-tool made by Small Rig. One of the things that tends to happen on set is that we don't have a tool to tighten or unscrew a certain piece of equipment. Every company does not agree on a standard here, so there's a lot of different types of screws. Some filmmakers may prefer the Leatherman. While they are handy, they do not have Allen key sizes that many companies are starting to use in their rig. All things considered, this Small Rig multi-tool handles pretty much everything when it comes to tightening up camera rigs. Next up, we move into the audio world. Now, this is the Andy Cine ACM1. It's a little tiny shotgun microphone. Now, don't let this price fool you. This mic actually packs quite the punch for a beginning filmmaker or vlogger, whether they are using a camera or a smartphone. This mic requires no batteries and provides really great sound for the price. If you've ever heard your filmmaking loved one want something called a lav mic or a lavalier mic, this is the one you'll want to get for the price. At $30, this thing produces a great sound that sounds very pleasing to the ears. This is a traditional lavalier mic, however, which means it does not work plugged into a cell phone. If your filmmaking loved one prefers to use cell phones for their videos and want a lavalier mic still, then you're going to want to add this adapter with it. Next up, we have something called the 5-in-1 reflector. This is pretty much the Swiss Army knife for cheap and portable lighting gear. Now, filmmakers use this to make light softer so that you don't get this deer in the headlights look. That can look quite harsh. Filmmakers also use this to bounce light into a different direction, or sometimes they'll even use it to block light from entering the scene. While this thing is 43 inches, which seems like a lot, it actually can fold down to about 10 inches, making it super easy to take with you. This is a must-have for any filmmaker that loves to do stuff with lighting. Next up, we have SD cards. Now, one quick note here. If you have a filmmaking loved one that's a professional, then chances are they already have the V90 SD card they need, so you don't really need to think about any of these as a potential gift. However, if you have a beginning filmmaker or an intermediate filmmaker that's starting to get some jobs and they're starting to upgrade their cameras, then you might want to pay attention. So specifically, I'm talking about V60 SD cards, not V30. V30s are really good for basic camera codecs. In fact, I use quite a few of them, but a V60 is going to handle your transition from a beginning filmmaker to an intermediate filmmaker, especially if they're starting to work with 10-bit footage or something called 60p and 120p, which is basically super slow motion. At this time, you're going to need a much faster SD card. A V30 might not unlock all the possibilities of their camera. So a V60 is a really good sweet spot. And like I said, if you have a professional filmmaking loved one, they already have the V90, so you don't need to go out and get it for them. Last up in terms of side gifts, we have a USB battery bank. Now this is not any normal USB battery bank. This battery bank is specifically capable of something called power delivery, and I have specifically chosen up to 45 watts. Now, filmmaking equipment is starting to utilize these awesome power delivery USB ports that basically provides us more power than a standard USB port that we use pretty much in our daily lives. Your filmmaking loved one could be in a pinch where they need to power up their camera or recharge batteries super fast. These power delivery capable USB battery banks will fit the bill. Now there are a couple different ones, 20 watts, 45 watts, even up to 100 watts, and of course it gets more expensive the more watts you need. I chose 45 watts because it's right in the middle and it's even capable of recharging some small laptops. If they have some really powerful laptops, then you're probably going to want to go up to the 100 watt version. But chances are 45 watts is more than enough because they're going to be either powering up their camera or recharging their camera batteries. All right, let's get to some of the big stuff. Let me introduce to you the Pelican 1510 travel case. This is extremely popular among filmmakers because it carries pretty much all of their camera and lenses. Not to mention, this is TSA approved for carry-on, which is extremely important when you are carrying around $5,000 worth of camera equipment and you don't want someone just tossing it around underneath the plane. Next up, we have something called a C-stand, which is actually a light stand. It looks a little wonky. Most people don't think of a light stand when they look at this, but this is an industry standard in terms of its style. Now, this light stand, basically with its turtle legs on the bottom, it takes up less space while still being able to hold up a decent amount of weight. Not only that, the boom arm that comes with this is extremely versatile so that filmmakers can hang diffusion curtains or that 5-in-1 reflector we talked about earlier. If you are purchasing this for your filmmaking loved one and this is their first C-stand, you're probably going to want to get them something called sandbags, and this is something that they have to fill up on their own, whether you go to Lowe's to get some pebbles or sand itself. And what you do is they put these sandbags on the turtle legs on the bottom so they weigh it down so that the light stand does not tip over on accident. Now, if your filmmaking loved one is starting to get some jobs and you see them traveling a bit with their gear, there is a good chance they may need a more substantial tripod. This specific tripod is heavy duty and has a video head that allows for smooth camera movements should they need it. Now, I specifically chose this one to present to you because of the handle being extendable. This is handy to adjust the smoothness as well as the speed of your camera movements. Other tripod video heads have shorter handles and it does make camera movements quite difficult. Next up, we have something called an SSD hard drive, specifically the Samsung T7. These hard drives are very fast and they can be used to edit videos, or in some cases, some cameras even allow you to connect it and record videos directly to it. Now, I have been using 2 Samsung T7s for the last year and a half, and these tiny portable SSDs are great for traveling as there are no moving parts inside like traditional hard drives. So I can literally thrash this hard drive all over the place while editing and it'll never skip or destroy the data inside. Next up is lighting. If your filmmaking loved one has been using common household LED bulbs or fluorescent bulbs that can break really easily, you may really surprise them with this great beginner's lighting kit. This comes with 3 lights, which is quite standard for a basic lighting setup. These are LEDs, so no more fears of breaking any light bulbs. It comes with soft boxes to prevent that deer in the headlights look we talked about earlier. It's got all the light stands that they need, and it can be powered with very cheap common video batteries called Sony MPFs. This is quite possibly the best beginner's lighting kit out there that can help them get started at home with their YouTube or live streaming. Moving up to audio gear, we have the Rode VideoMic NTG. This is easily the best bang for the buck when it comes to prosumer level audio gear. Similar to the Andy Cine before, this is a shotgun type microphone, which means when you point it at someone's mouth or wherever the voice is coming from, it hones in on that voice and rejects the sound around the microphone. These are perfect for filmmaking and YouTube in a bedroom studio setting. In fact, you're literally listening to it right now as I've been using it pretty much for everything. The key feature of this mic is that it has a built-in battery that can last up to 30 hours, can be easily plugged into a computer as a Zoom mic, and that's exactly how you're listening to it. My mic is being plugged into my laptop, and it also has a smart cable that understands if you're plugging it into a camera or a smartphone. The sound quality is extremely clean for this price. Your filmmaking loved one will be able to use this for years to come. On the flip side, if your filmmaking loved one wants to go wireless, we have the Rode Wireless Go 2. This setup allows your filmmaking loved one to not only have one wireless mic for themselves, but they can also mic up a friend and have both of the voices transmitted to the camera. Not only that, the defining feature of this system is that they can choose to turn on internal recording. What this means is if for whatever reason the wireless audio signal gets cut out, they will still have an onboard backup recording to use when they edit. So no matter what, they are covered and they don't have to worry anymore about a lost wireless audio signal. Lastly, we have something called a field monitor. Now, camera monitors aren't that big, and sometimes they are really hard to use outside when the sun is out. I have chosen specifically the Andy Cine C7. This monitor can get super bright for outdoor shoots. It's 7 inches, so much larger than a camera's 3-inch monitor, and it makes it easier for your filmmaking loved one to see what's going on in their shot immediately, so they don't have to second guess whether it's in focus or not. All right, your filmmaking loved one has been really good this year and you want to go big. In which case, if they're a beginner and they started off with a smartphone, but you've been hearing them saying they want a camera. Now, specifically, if they're a YouTuber or vlogger, the camera I would recommend is the Sony ZV-1 because it's probably the best starting camera for the price. It's got a great host of features, really great video autofocus, pretty much a lot of stuff that you've seen on my channel. I actually use this alongside of my more professional cameras because it's super small, it's super quick, and I'm able to get the shots I need alongside of my principal shots. Now, if you do decide to get them a ZV-1, you'll want to pair it with this Ulanzi wide angle adapter. This adapter, in my opinion, is a must for the ZV-1 because it gives them the ability to have wider shots as well as super close-up shots for really, really detailed video. Last but not least, if your filmmaking loved one needs a video editing capable computer or for any other type of content creation needs like Photoshop, I would personally suggest the Apple MacBook Air M1 with 16 gigabytes. If you don't want to go with a laptop, you can go with the iMac, which is the desktop version. Now, the reason I personally recommend this is because all of my YouTube videos for 2021 has been edited on a MacBook Air M1. And I have to tell you, my previous system was over 3 times the price, and it didn't perform as fast as this laptop. It's amazing. Apple has really done something crazy here in terms of what they've are able to pack into a laptop form. And for the first time, I can wholeheartedly say, if you're a content creator and you want to do video editing and stuff like that, the M1 is going to do it for you. So don't break the bank by getting them something that's like $3,500. This $1,000 some laptop is going to do the trick. And hey guys, that is the end for this video. I sincerely hope this has been helpful to you. Again, all the items I talked about are linked down in the description below, and I will have purchase links there. They are affiliated, so if you decide to use them, I may get a little bit of commission, which does help support the channel, and I sincerely thank you. And again, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I will try to answer them as fast as I can so you can get the gift that you want for your loved one. But other than that, like, subscribe, and share this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.